What is up, guys? Today we'll be taking a look at the Pixel 3a XL. I've had this phone for a while now, and this phone has come down in price to 200 bucks, and that's why I wanted to discuss it because I think it's pretty unique at this price. Right now, this is the version I have, the refurbished version. The new one is like around what is it, like a new one is like 339, which honestly for that you would get the Pixel 4a right here. So I would not recommend buying this phone brand new. I would definitely try to pick it up in the used slash refurbished market. So let's go ahead and talk about this phone because I feel like at 200 bucks this is 100% one of the best camera phones that you can buy. If you really care about pictures at a cheap price, this is pretty much the best deal. I use a lot of budget phones and I've always loved taking pictures with this phone. But let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the phone. So basically it's a plastic design. So it's a plastic design, but it does not feel super cheap. It has like a matte texture on it on the back, which does not attract fingerprints, especially with this white color, which is something that I really appreciate. But I do have like kind of little dirt stains, but I'm sure I can just clean them off. So this white color does get a little bit dirty. But yeah, it's still a very nice looking device in my opinion. So you do have this really cool orange accent on the phone for the power button, your volume rockers, of course. And we go down below. This phone actually has stereo speakers, which are actually pretty loud, and we'll get to that. And you also have USB Type-C. This phone keeps the headphone jack, which is really nice as well. And you do have the fingerprint scanner on the back with just a single forward camera, LED flash, of course. So let's talk about the display. So on the front of the 3a XL, we have an OLED display actually, which is really nice at this price point. Most phones will have an IPS display at this price point, so you get a really nice OLED, really nice deep blacks. It's a 6-inch display. It's 1080p 402 for the PPI. Display looks pretty good in my opinion. Again, very vibrant, nice colors. You have that always on function you could take advantage of, and we know the benefits with OLED with battery life as well. And the display on here is fantastic. I think at this price point it looks really nice. Now this phone does kind of look a little bit older from the front because you just have these huge bezels right here, as you can see. Kind of reminds me of like the iPhone SE that I have. Just these huge chunky bezels, which it's not gonna bother most people. From what we saw from the SE 2020, most people didn't even care. So this design does not bother you. The display is fine on here. It's really beautiful. And the benefit with this display is you have no notch. So if you're anti-notch person, you don't have to deal with that on this phone. But they do have the speaker grill up front actually, which kind of makes up for it. So it is a really good use of having that space. I'll go ahead and let you guys hear the speakers real quick. Turn the volume all the way up. So the sound is coming from this one right here and this one. The speaker quality is pretty good on this phone. It has a pretty good bass presence. Mids and highs are pretty good. Overall, I was really impressed. Any front-facing speaker is going to be really awesome to have on your smartphone. Definitely better than just a single firing bottom speaker that can be easy to block out as well. So this phone has Android 11, and let's go ahead and touch on that. So these Pixel phones get updates really fast. That is one of the main benefits of having a Pixel phone. Now, this phone used to have some kind of animation stutters, but with Android 11, it's really cleared up a lot of these stutters with this phone, and it's relatively smooth now. So when this phone first launched, it got a lot of flack for being kind of laggy, and definitely that issue is gone. It is butter smooth with Android 11 here. You don't really notice a whole bunch of hiccups and stuff like that, animation stutters. It is just really smooth, so I was really impressed when I got the update. I let it sit for a little bit before I really said anything because I wanted to see how it would last over time, and this phone definitely is a champ when it comes to just performance. So I was really impressed with that. Also, the main benefits with Android 11 or having the pure Google experience is that you don't get any bloatware, as we saw with like the menu. You can see it's very bare minimum. There's really nothing here. So with phones like this, if you want a phone that's super simple, you don't want all of the bells and whistles, you just want everything to be really clean looking, then the Pixel is definitely the way to go. And again, you get updates really fast with Google, so that is something that I've always really loved about the Pixel brand. Alright, so this phone has the Snapdragon 670 chip and Adreno 615, so it's not going to be a flagship chip, of course. It's kind of like a mid-ranger kind of chip, but for gaming and stuff like that, it's relatively smooth. I've never had an issue with gaming on this phone, especially, again, with Android 11. Everything has been buttery smooth on this device, so I can't really complain. And again, the speakers sound really good on this phone too. Oh wow, got me. But again, the OLED display is great. Games play pretty smooth, as you can see. So overall, performance-wise, again, this isn't the most, favorable chip when it came out with this phone, but again, it plays games fine. So if you do want to play games on this phone, you won't really have an issue with it. Now there are some things that I kind of don't like with this phone. So it does not have any kind of micro SD support, which I think sucked when it first was announced, when I heard of it. And you only get 64 gigs of internal storage, which might be a little low depending on what type of person you are, if you like to play a lot of games, but it kind of forces you to use the Google Drive and Google Photos and stuff like that. Basically, you have to use the cloud if you're like a real hardcore user, because you don't have that expandable storage. So I would have liked to seen 128 gigs on this when it first came out, but there's nothing you can do. It does have 4 gigs of RAM, and it handles multitasking well. It used to kick a lot of applications out, but it actually holds applications now with the Android 11 update. So as you can see, it's not refreshing. See if Call of Duty stays open. Yeah, so it's keeping applications open. Again, it's not going to be a multitasking beast with 4 gigs of RAM, so I wouldn't try to go crazy hardcore on this phone. But as you can see, it's fine. It's not lagging all over the place, and it's keeping applications open, which is great. Well, actually, let's see if Subway Surfers are still open. Oh no, let's refresh. See, like I said, so it's not going to be like multitasking beast if you're doing like hardcore game switching and stuff like that. But for casual multitasking, it will be fine. So let's go ahead and talk about getting into the phone. So the only option is your physical fingerprint scanner, and of course you can do your pen pattern thing. This phone does not have a face unlock option. I was looking for it in the settings, it just does not have it. So they opted to leave that out for some reason. Don't know why, but you only have the physical fingerprint scanner option on this phone. I guess they leave it out because I guess if Google thinks it's not secure, then they're just not going to put it on. But yeah, so that's not there, but it's fine. The fingerprint scanner works just fine. So like I said, you do have NFC on here, which is really nice. So you have your mobile payments on this phone, which is great. And again, you have that 3.5mm jack, which is awesome. So you can use your headphones, no problem. So let's go ahead and talk about the cameras. So you only have one lens, a 12.2 megapixel lens. It's also 4K video at 30 FPS, and you also have a single firing selfie camera at 1080p. So the cameras on here are basically why you're buying this phone. It takes some excellent photos. I mean, really beautiful photos. Dynamic range is really solid. The depth of field, the portrait mode selfies are really great as well. Skin tones are excellent. It just takes some really good photos for this price point. Like I said, I don't have a budget phone that I think is comparable to the Pixel. The portrait mode is just awesome on this phone. It just does a great job nailing portrait shots. It also takes some pretty good photos outdoor when it's harsh lights with the white balance. It still does a really good job. Depth of field is just excellent on this phone. It just takes some really good cameras. I was really impressed with the Pixel cameras. I've always been impressed, and every time I show family members and stuff like that, they're always impressed with this phone. I took a couple photos of people, and they thought it was like with an actual DSLR when my mom posted it on Facebook, and it's just an awesome camera. So that's the effect of this camera, especially the portrait mode photos. It just really impresses people. Now, video isn't super impressive, but I think compared to like a lot of phones in this price point, video is also pretty exceptional as well. I actually cut and let you guys hear the audio in the video. Alright guys, here is the video on the Pixel. You guys are also hearing the mic as well. Looks pretty good. Let me know how it sounds. Not bad at all. So the Pixel 3a XL camera is awesome. So again, if you want a really good camera phone at a crazy cheap price right now, this is the phone you're going to be looking at. So I just absolutely highly recommend this for the camera alone. I would pick it up for the camera alone. But let's go ahead and talk about the last thing, battery life. So it's got a 3,700 milliamp battery. You have 18-watt fast charging, no wireless charging, of course, on here. Battery life is average. You get around 6 hours. Well, I get around like 6 hours and 30 minutes, which isn't like super impressive with this phone, but you can get through the day. I usually can get through the day, no problem, but you're definitely going to be charged. It's not one of those phones where you can go a day and a half or 2 days. It's one of those phones that you can get through the day and that's it. You put it on the charger. So battery life is fine on this phone. So what do you guys think of the Pixel 3a XL? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.